Hello and welcome to the Calmcast, a time to feel calm and think clearly. I'm Claire Downham, the Queen of Calm, a transformational life coach. I was a burnt out head teacher who finally made the journey to calm after years of trying, and I want to prevent you from having to do the same. The Calmcast is a series of short explorations, gently guiding you back to your natural state, which is calm and clarity. Just listen like you would listen to music, with an open mind and curiosity. There's nothing else to do. Now let's relax into today's episode. So today I'm talking about another one of my made-up words. I know you love them. So today's word, we've had wrongification and storyfication, and today we've got shouldification. And that is something that I know is a made-up word, but I know you know what it means. And that is those times when we use that word should. And it's funny, actually, because I remember when I was doing all my other kind of therapeutic work and trying to help myself feel better, that I remember being told by people, don't use that word. Don't use the word should, because it's not a very good word. And I never really understood why. I just knew that people told me not to use it. So I kind of went with that. Don't use the word should. Because it's not particularly helpful in some way. But I understand that on a much, much deeper level now. And actually, I've noticed that the word has fallen so much from my vocabulary that I notice when other people use it a lot more now. And the reason it's fallen from my vocabulary is just an understanding, really, of what should feels like. I used to think that people and circumstances were wrong, particularly people. I'm laughing because it is funny. And I would shoudify lots of things around me. The idea being that if those things were different, I would be okay. I suspect you can relate to that. There is a sense, isn't there, that the world is creating how we feel. It's a sense that we're brought up with all of our lives, right from when we're very small. When somebody says, in fact, people say it to us, don't they? You should behave better. You should get 20 out of 20 in the spelling test. You should get 25 GCSEs. That's an exaggerated number, but you know what I mean. You should, I don't know, get married, have 2.4 kids. You should be successful. You should be thinner. That's one, isn't it? You know, and it's done to us so much that it just becomes part of it looking like some things are wrong and some are right. And we grow up with our ideas of what's wrong and what's right. I've had a should experience this morning in my head a little bit, because my fiance has a habit of reacting to things quite loudly so he'll get something like a message on his phone and go, oh my God, really loud, and he'll say, oh my God, or something to that effect, perhaps slightly more lively language. And that happened this morning. He was in the bathroom and I was in the bedroom, and he went, oh my God, like that. And I was like, oh, and I felt myself kind of get a bit panicky and went into the bathroom. And it was something that is easily resolvable. It's a problem, but it can be resolved fairly easily. And I found myself thinking, well, I said to him, but I don't want him to do that. I don't want him to do that massive loud reaction to things out, like rather than just pottering into the bathroom and say, oh, sweetie, this thing's happened. And so I, in my head, was shoulifying him, definitely, with the sense that I could feel better if he didn't do that. But in that space, there was my acknowledgement that it's something in me that reacts when people shout. But I think perhaps that's quite a human reaction. I don't know. There's something to get curious about anyway. So I used to think, about everything, if everything was how I wanted it to be, if everything that I said should about was like, it was all over here. If it was all over here, I'd be fine. If all the people were in this box doing the right thing, if all the circumstances were perfect and people on online dating behaved just how I wanted them to, and ex-husbands behaved themselves, and children's careers progressed as I wanted them to, or whatever else, or my career progressed as I wanted it to, and everybody behaved exactly as I wanted to do, then I would be okay. So I shoudified a lot of things and a lot of people. And it felt pretty awful. And I remember when people told me don't use the word should, I kind of played with that a bit and noticed that there was a better feeling. I didn't know why though. And the reason why is because your feelings don't come from those things in the outside world that you do not like. They come from your use of should and your should thinking. It creates, I often think of it, it's like a friction. It's just a misuse of the power of thought, really. And it creates an uncomfortable friction, like wearing scratchy woolen underwear, really. Don't know where that came from, but we'll go with it. It's where, if life's like this and you want it to be like this, and then there's this, it's like it's like a friction feeling, like, if you imagine both my hands had sandpaper and I was rubbing them together, you'd feel this friction. Eventually, you'd probably get a spark if you did that long enough. And how often does it feel like we are literally on fire with the fury of wanting somebody or something to be different? It doesn't feel very nice. It feels uncomfortable. It feels off. But it doesn't feel off for the reason that we think it feels off. That's what's useful to know. That's really helpful, I think, to know that it doesn't feel off for the reason we think. We think it feels off because it's wrong. Because the people out there and the circumstances out there are wrong. They're doing the wrong thing. They're being wrong. But that isn't what we're feeling. We're feeling our should thinking. And it's such a difference. And what happens when you start to realize that is, as I say, that word just appears less. I mean, I've had an experience of it this morning, but the awareness of it was there. The awareness of me, I'm talking about it now, and I know I've done it. I know I've shoudified my fiance. It just makes less and less sense, because I do want to feel nice. There's no two ways about it. I am not inhuman in that I, like you, want to feel nice. Who doesn't want to be in a nice feeling? That nice feeling is, well, it's where we're supposed to be. We're not supposed to be all riled up and upset all the time. We're really not. But when we're shouldifying, we are riled up and upset. And when you realize that it's the use of should that's feeling awful, it's not the thing that you're shoulding or shouldifying, it begins to make less sense to shoudify things. You've got a rule book in your head of how things are supposed to be. It's not even your rule book. It's a rule book that you actually learnt. And can I tell you, you learnt it from probably a lot from people who upset you at the time. Bullies, parents who were angry at the time, angry teachers who are, people who said things to you that stuck. And all the stuff you learnt when you were little was just stuff that you learnt when you were little. It's not really got anything to do with you. That's not who you really are. That nice feeling that comes when you're not shoulifying everything, that's who you really are. And that's the place where we always will feel best, when we're not caught up in our shoulifying thinking or our should thinking. Definitely a lovely space to get curious here. Enjoy getting curious. It's great fun. Thank you so much for listening. There's nothing to do now but bring some awareness to how this is working out in your life. Listen regularly to experience longer and longer periods of calm. This has been the Calmcast with Claire Downham, Queen of Calm. Take care and keep listening.